before the external quality assurance. 88% is quite significant, and the reason could be they will be having varying reasons. Maybe it's because of capacity. If it is capacity, then we offer capacity building in that area so that to support them to be able to implement that. Public health inspection reports, we would have expected that the VTCs are doing very well in that area because that is a devolved function. And I think we'll be doing, in this forum, will tell us how the best way to approach it, but because the county government representatives are here, how best do we work with the Ministry of Health officials so that they can annually inspect these institutions. Some of them are in question. Hata mtu anaweza anguka kwa pit la team. And if that happens, the CEO of the institution, who is the manager, is held to account because you're not supposed to be running an institution that has not been inspected for public health. Ama watoto tumbo ikiwauma wakikula chakula, you will be held responsible personally. So I think this is an area that we need to sensitize the managers for them to understand the importance. In the VTCs, also the issues of statutory deductions, for them we yet to have mechanisms for them to pay the QFEs, but for the other government statutory deductions, for the staff they've engaged penalties if they don't remit those statutory deductions. So that is an area we need to look at and see how best we... I think I've talked about that. Allow me shortly to go to the human resource area. In the human resource, we look at the trainers' qualifications and whether they are licensed to train or not. We look at the trainer's workload, whether it is high or sufficient. Any staff development plans or capacity building plans, and is it documented? We look at the HR policies and procedures, that is now for the institution. We look at whether we have staff performance management system in place. Are we appraising our staff? Are we documenting? Career progression guidelines and compliance certificates where applicable. So this one either applies to the security personnel who will need certificate of good conduct, or the food handlers who will need a certificate of public health. This is how we performed in the human resource. We've chosen to use different colors, yellow, green, and blue. This is an area that humans, the way it is shot. I performed well in that areas with the highest scoring 82, 88%. That was a VTC and a public TVC. Then for the private, we had 78%. Public TVCs are also in this area of performance. Public officers, I think that one is already. The trainers, the public TVCs are trying, but they've also left staff. We expect every staff that has been engaged to undertake, for the institution to have a performance management system in place for all the staff that are engaged. Scheme of service for its staff, that is an HR issue, and I think the public ones had 67% had for the staff that they had engaged on board. 69% were compliant with their recommended workload of, we've given it a maximum of 28 hours per week. And I think public TVCs are doing well. Oh, is it well really? 69. 69 is not well enough, isn't it? That is bordering about half. And 81% had clear job descriptions for the staff they were engaging. Those were some of the positive findings. These are overall findings, but every institution got their own report with the specific findings and recommendations. Areas of improvement, trainers. I think that is also across board. 88% of the trainers were not licensed. I know if I opened that for a discussion, I will be receiving a lot of reasons as to why that number is that high. But I think we'll also open ourselves to discussion. Where we've also not done well, we'll pick it, because we also are here for this conversation on our area of improvement. But that is also a legal issue. Section 17, 1, section and 4. 1 talks of if all of us are to open the act, but if you can refer to it, it talks of no one in training without licensing. And 4 talks of if you are found, what happens to it, that you are not training for that matter. It talks of 6 months imprisonment or 1 million fine or both. I think that is a very high penalty for you to just to be doing a noble job. So that is an area that you've not enforced because you've not found, no one has gone to court, but you can be the first one. Sindio? So we always have first timers. So you cannot say that because it is not happened, it could not be you. So the best thing is for us just to comply because it is a law. When it is enforced, if the enforcement begins from tomorrow, then all of us are found to be compliant. And that is an area we are not doing very well. I think it will also open us to discussion as to why is not able, we are not able. Ama, do we change the law? Maybe those are the things that you should be telling us as we change the law or we comply to the existing law. 23% because they were not implementing the staff appraisal. 60% capacity development plans. As per the trainer qualifications framework, for your license to be renewed, we expect that all the trainers have a chance to undergo some continuous professional development that is relevant to their own area for your license to be renewed. So if the institutions don't have deliberate or don't make deliberate move to ensure that all the trainers in that institution have an opportunity to undergo continuous professional development that is relevant to their area of training, then will come a time that their licenses will expire and are not to be renewed, and therefore they will also have lost the trainer. So that is also an area that the administrators will really need to look at, so that we also keep on appraising or exposing the trainers in the relevant area of professional growth. And then we have a small percentage of trainers in public TVCs that had qualification of craft level, that is level 5 and below. That one is was mostly in these courses like cosmetology. Yes, those are the most affected, and we all know where we are coming from. But over time, we are going to have a good crop of trainers who will be meeting the qualification. So that is an area that affected mostly the public TVCs. For the private TVCs, workload 63% and 55% had job descriptions. So 63%, it means 37% the workload was very high in the private institutions. So I think that is an area that we had recommended that they get more staff so that the staff can have capacity to, they have some more time to be able to prepare for the lessons. But if they are having 40, I don't know if it is possible to have 40, I think that, let me talk of that in a week, or 35, that is too high. It means you are hopping from one class to another. At what time do you even prepare? When do you even start making the professional documents? And now with the CBET implementation, I think it is just not possible for a trainer in that. So I think the area of workload for the private TVCs will need to improve. These are the recommendations that were made to develop and implement capacity building plans. I've already given you a reason as to why we need to have that in place. So with the capacity building plans, we can also do a trainer needs assessment for you to establish what areas do they need to be trained. It is not a matter of waiting when people call for meetings or any trainings by external partners, then now you nominate them to go. But you can also make your own deliberate effort to decide this is the area at the end of these 3 years or 2 years, we want our trainers in motor vehicle, automotive engineering department to be trained in fashion design and this way. So those are just deliberate efforts you make to supplement any other external trainings that you are called for. Appraisal, I think that is the best HR practice. We must expose ourselves for performance appraisal, because now that one gives a basis if you want to sack or to discontinue a trainer for non-performance. What do you base? What is the evidence that this trainer or staff is not performing? Or even promotion, or even reward, or whichever sanctions that you want to do. So that is the basis, and we expect that all the trainers are subjected to performance appraisal. Engaging the qualified trainers as per the program. The trainer qualifications framework provides for a trainer, for you to be qualified, you must be training at a level higher than, you must be a level higher than the level you are training at. For instance, if you are training craft level, you must be having at least diploma and above in that trade in which you are training. So you ensure that the trainers engaged are licensed. So I know you have so many discussions. I think the questions have come to the fore. We say that we ensure all the trainers engaged are licensed, and sometimes we also engage those who are not licensed. I think that is a subject that if will also be brought to the attention of Dr. Opora, who is representing the PS, so that maybe when they are doing an intent for hiring of trainers in the public service, it is very clear that the trainers should be licensed to train, so that they are not left off. Or maybe we are not doing an illegality. The same government is not doing an illegality for that matter. VTCs, they had some strengths. For those, the center managers are also trainers, what we call principals. Those are the head of institutions. A good number of them were qualified trainers. And I think that was a strength, but you can see we still have a 10% that are not even qualified in that area. Staff performance appraisal was implemented, but now that is just as a PSC. The ones who are employed by the county government are also subject to subscribing to the PSC, the Public Ethics and Officers Act, that allows everybody to undergo the performance appraisal. The records were maintained, and workload was sufficient in at least 63% of them. That is also a place that we have very high workloads. A trainer stays in class the whole day. So now they also want to implement CBET. I don't know how it will work, but now that is an area we'll look into. So hapo hata sasa, the ones who are licensed to train were 4%. So if that is an area to be enforced, I think, I don't know, because the president's directive is to have access to over around 2 million to the TVETA. And if we are to enforce this area and only 4% of the institutions are not complying with the law, we might also be in conflict with the presidential directive. So that is an area that we'll have to work so that we also support that directive, that provide accessibility, have the relevant trainers who are qualified to train and licensed for that matter as per the law, so that now we can now give quality to the trainees who are coming to our institution. There are schemes of service, capacity development plans. Most of the institutions didn't have such a plan. And then now we had a significant number of trainers who are not even meeting the minimum craft qualifications. So for here, craft is allowed because of the basics they are training in. Maybe as we move on, this engagement or discussion will continue on what best we do. But we have tried to reach out to the Council of Governors and also to the respective counties so that they are aware that the kind of training that we do, the foundational training in the VTCs, is very important, because most of these trainees or graduates are likely to progress through the other system. So when the foundation is not good, then it will affect them as they move upwards. I think that one I've talked to. Performance appraisal, continuous professional development, workload analysis, and hiring additional staff. I think that is an area that we have talked to, and that marks my presentation on HR and leadership. Thank you so much. Okay, I want to welcome the next presenter, and that is Dan Odanga, to take us to the next level of physical facilities and innovations. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, my name is Dan Odanga from TVETA. I currently work in the regional office, Western Region, Kisumu. Thank you. So, as we try to open up the slides, I'll take you through two areas of audit criterion. One would be the physical resources, and I'm also taking you through research, innovation, and cooperation. Now, the authority places emphasis on physical resources. That's why at some point, Daktari had talked about 30% weighting of the overall scores. Out of the 100% that we have, physical resources has 30% of the weight of the audit performance that we do. So I must mention that I know at some point we have not met the expectation of some of our stakeholders with regard to accreditation because of the need to have sufficient physical resources that can be able to help us mount programs that we want to do. The same principle that we have at the time that maybe we reject your programs because we don't have the necessary resources, we also have to look at later on, once we have given you, go ahead to do your, to start mounting your programs, you come and check whether you still meet those particular requirements. Now, with the physical resources, we look at various areas of interest. We look at availability of the resources. It is a workshop, it is classrooms. We look at workshops, the tools and equipment. We look at the administration offices and many other physical facilities that we see. We also look at the sanitation facilities and see whether you have sufficient facilitations as the standards. You remember we have in our accreditation handbook we look at the ratio of what probably one washroom to how many students you're supposed to have. And that's again why at times we ask you, emphasize that you look for public health officers to come and also give us the candid report on how you fare on with regard to sanitation. So other than that, we look at the safety of the workshops and find out whether your facilities meet the safety requirements. We look at the library facilities and see whether you have facilities to support referencing by both our trainers and the trainees. Other than that, we look at whether you are complying with the mainstreaming or gender disabilities. We talk about compliance to having facilities that can also support people living with disabilities as it is the norm with our government policies. So during the last previous audit, we did during the last audit, we did a number of institutions. We did both private, as will have been indicated to us, the both private institutions, and we did the public, TVCs, and the VTCs. Now, it is important to note that when we have scores here, when it comes to the TVCs, we are a little bit more strict. When it comes to the VTCs, we are a little bit more lenient, because the levels of training that they're doing are a little bit lower. And therefore, if you see that maybe an institution has 80% of a VTC and 80% of a TVC, most likely you find that they may not have necessarily the same working environment. So these are areas that I've looked at. In a summary, the administrative offices, theory rooms, workshops, tools and equipment, safety measures, sanitation, utilities, and library services. Now, the general performance on physical resources, as shown on our table, the mean on with public TVCs, 76%, the mean with private TVCs, 63%, and we had a mean of 59% on the VTCs. Now, on the highest score, it's also important to note that we had a TVC that scored 100%, private TVC. That was really commendable. It is also important to note that most of us, in the terms of highest scores, we also had a VTC that got 93%, and the highest score of public TVCs, we had 97%. Now, with regard to the lowest, you can see the least performed VTC had 6%. That is really not very nice, and that is actually fairly, that is a non-compliant area. I know quite a number of them had quite, we are going to see, a number of them may have gotten less than 30%, and you can see the 4% of the lowest of public TVCs. So then on the SLAM's inventory, we check on the inventory. The reason why we look at this is that most of us are running public facilities. We do expect that you maintain serious financial asset inventory so that you are able to take stock of what it is that you have, what is it that the government has given you, and maybe probably the time you are leaving, what are you leaving behind? If you found 20 and you added 60, you should be leaving 80. So inventory control is very important for us, and therefore you can see that 81% have maintained their inventory systems to indicate the asset register. Then access to people with people living with disabilities, 68% had sanitation facilities that support people with disabilities. Now, the public TVCs on the weaknesses, or we call it areas of improvement, libraries, 62% are not established functional libraries. We want to also say here that Because of the information age, we do expect that institutions can now be able to migrate to an online system so that they have e-resources, not necessarily a physical library, but you can also be able to supplement with the e-resources. That is a very green picture. 60% have not done that. That is really not very good. Now, with regard to safety measures, 83% lacked emergency procedures, PPEs, safety training, and well-organized workshops, among others. Not very good. It is important that where we are, we try to ensure that we put in place sufficient safety measures as per the OSH Act. The OSH Act, we have always informed institutions to be able to even have that document with them in the library so that we can be able to make reference to necessary safety measures that we need to put in place. The safety here is, we expect that when you're working, it's both for the trainees and for the trainers to a large extent. Now, tools and equipment, 58% lack adequate tools and equipment to support training. You are aware currently we are going modularized. We therefore expect that we put a little bit more effort to be able to support the government policy on modularization, which requires level 3 and 4 to be purely 90% practice. Moving forward, in short, we had an overall mean score of 76% of public support. We had a mean of 76% of public TVCs. The highest score had 97%. This score had 44%. Then 37 out of 58 or 54 scored above 70% in physical resources. Then some 6 out of 54 scored below 50%. We want to special mention the following institutions that had scored 90%: TVC, Mabera, Kenya School of Agriculture, that is Nyeri, Sikri, Dodoma, Siala, Kamkunji. All these were few that scored excellent performance at 90%. So I think those really are quite commendable. Why do we mention this? It's the purposes of us trying to benchmark. If you tell you this particular institution did fairly well, then it is well. If you are coming from around that area, you can take your time application or your team to go and benchmark with some of what they're putting in place. Now, with private TVCs, 58% maintained good tools and equipment. Instead of tools and equipment, 78% had tools and equipment in good working condition. Those are in terms of in terms of strengths and less of weaknesses. 51% had not established functional libraries or either e-resources. Safety measures was lacking 77%. This is really a picture. 77% not really right. Then access to people with disabilities, 92% did not meet that requirement. So where you sit, you remember government policy on gender mainstreaming is a requirement. But again, we have most of our institutions under private are running on commercial buildings that at times we have very little control over. But we do encourage that once you're given a few access washrooms, you can always modify one to be able to support people with disabilities. Now, we had the maximum, mean score of 63%, maximum 100%, and the least had 23% non-compliant, and 6 institutions scored below 30% on physical resources, and 44 out of 112 scored above. I didn't want to mention specific various physical facility levels. Some don't have facilities for technical programs. A good number of them are running business of humans, social sciences, and therefore it was going to be unfair to talk about the ranking. So the recommendations are clear here. Ensure adequate training resources, as been explained. Library services, we have said that try to target the use of e-resources so that we can be able to complement or supplement what you have on the physical library. Maintain updated inventory systems for purposes of trying to help us maintain their assets that the probably government or the employer has given. Then guidance and counseling rooms is important for us because with these Gen Zs, you know, a number of them require constant psycho-support programs, and therefore we do insist that the GNC rooms are supposed to be put in place with a fairly qualified person put in there to be able to support our Gen Zs with their issues that affect them. Now, the safety measures that we have said is very important. Kindly, we had advised that we comply with the OSH Act, and that also requires that for institutions that are fairly well, the ones that are big enough in terms of population and so on, we must have a committee, OSH committee, to be able to support the safety measures within the institution. Now, sports facility accessibility, important to support the guidance and counseling, because again, you know what extracurricular does to our young population. We can be able to help them also build their talents from that journey. Now, with VTCs, access to power, 84% were connected, but we also noticed that quite a number were disconnected because of lack of bills. I mean, we are unable to pay quite a number of running outstanding bills. So the county government representatives, let's support the institutions to be able to manage. You cannot run STEM without power. We had gone to some institutions, we find they have electrical courses, they don't have power within the institution. It is there, but it was disconnected. It's really unfair. Now, access to reliable water is key requirement. 81% had access to reliable water. Then the facilities, 58% of the trading equipment and materials were in good condition. Fairly good. Then in terms of adequacy of sanitation facilities, 87% had adequate sanitation facilities. They may have been adequate, but again, we always have issues with the conditions, right? But then again, with the VTCs, we may be adequate because the number of enrollments also are fairly normally a bit low. Then the guidance and counseling, 50% provided offices for guidance and counseling. That means that 50% do not have anything to do with the guidance and counseling. And remember, this is for the VTCs that really require guidance and counseling, because a number of times there are some of the boys that join have actually run away from school, high school. Some are running away from their parents. So to some extent, some of our facilities act as rescue centers. And therefore, this is really a necessity for us to run programs very well. Now, areas of improvement, that's 9% had adequate training facilities. That means that quite a number, almost 61% are not doing well. Access to people with disabilities, 4% had inaccessible facility to TWEs. Then only 15% had provided library services. Then in terms of safety, only 9% had firefighting equipment. That is really a very bad picture. And to a large extent, you find that most of these, our trainees go to workshops with sandals, they go to the workshops with slippers, yeah, they don't have overalls, so they don't keep, and that again comes as a result of non-supervision of the training programs or close supervision of the training programs that go on within some of these institutions. So I think, again, we need to take note on the safety of our students. Doing this, you find at times that some young men do welding with their naked eyes. So you ask them, if you do welding with your naked eyes, the time you finish your college, your eyes will be dead. So you are not going to use your skills. So let's encourage them for safety, so that they also develop that culture of safety even when they got out of workplace. Out of college, get into the workplace. Summary findings for VTCs: mean score 59%, maximum 93, 6% least score, 30%, 6 children non-compliant, as said, 60 out of 247, which is scored 70%, which was good. While some 14 of these got 80 and above. So it means that 14 out of 247 institutions had scored excellent results at 80%. Notable cases that we must mention here, Uhuru, Kiptere, Kericho, and Isiolo did very well. So these are areas that some of us may want to benchmark and see what is going on there. They already I've listed some of them here. Actually, we said there are 14. Those are 2, Francis Taylor, well, St. Kizito. Those are private. Hola, Tana River. Chepareria in West Pokot, and Utumi in West Pokot. Those 2 institutions did very well, and therefore it means that the county government must be doing really well. If we will be able to get at least 2 from the one county, then that's a really good indicator that things are doing well there. So the recommendations are similar to what we have earlier. I don't want to overemphasize. Provision of adequate facilities, suitable rooms for each basic administrative function. Library facilities required. Occupational safety and health, I've already mentioned that. Compliance with that is necessary. PWDs, we must have to mainstream the gender mainstreaming. We made inventories required. And then this national power grid is really a necessity for us to be able to run our STEM programs and reliable power source. I think that takes us to the end of the physical resources. Innovation. Yes, so that takes us to the end of the physical resources. I'll be taking you briefly again on the research and innovation, an area that most of our institutions don't do very well. Again, on the area of innovation research, we have different sets of tools that we use. One tool is for VTCs, because of the nature of innovation that we expect from them. And the other tool we use for TVCs and national polytechnics. So what are we looking for? Innovation, we do expect that the institution must have put in place an innovation committee to support the innovation programs. We expect that the institution constantly work closely with the industry to be able to collect information and feedbacks. Research initiatives, we do expect that the TVCs, as they are established, supposed to have a research unit to support surveys that are very useful in terms of improving education programs that they have or training programs that are within the community that they support, and more importantly, the utilization of the resources available within the environments where they are placed. So we are not talking about academic research in this aspect, but we're talking about research that can be able to give value to the institution with regard to probably making good use of the resources available within the communities. We look at linkages and collaborations, how much you benchmark, the skill show competitions, you can do your normal local trade fairs or shows within the partnerships, industrial visits. These must be very deliberate in terms of the plans that institutions have to do such things. Then in community service, what do you give back to the community? These are CSR. Have you managed to have some plans that support within the community where you established, providing that the institutions, the community has given us land, what is it that we give them back in return? Then entrepreneurship and income generating activities. As you are aware, some of our resources are dwindling. How does institutions sustain? Very important when it comes to innovation and research. These are areas that we check, and for each case, either you have it or you don't have it, and therefore when you have it, we give you a score, and if you don't have it, we deny you one. So, thank you. So during the last audit, we had this comparative performance chart around 40-something% public TVCs. The public TVCs had a mean of around 45%, and then higher score was around 88%, and the least score was around 10%. Now, when it comes to private TVCs, you can see the highest had fairly a little bit up of 20%, the highest around 85%, and because you don't see the least score, it means that they had a zero. We had quite a number that scored zero. When you tabulate this on a chart, our Excel does not give you a score, a bar, because it is at zero level. And that applies with the VTCs. So VTCs on the least area performance, we also had 0% on the list, and there are quite also a number that got 0%. That means that they had not put anything in place to be able to support innovation and research. So public TVCs, on 6%, 56% have initiated innovation sports, which is really not very good, but fairly good. 80% had mechanism of obtaining feedback from industry, which most likely was through industrial attachment collaborations. Then 58% had established partnerships through memorandum of understandings, especially on areas that you had less capacity. We do encourage institutions that have less capacity in terms of physical resources to be able to partner with institutions out there, so that through an official documentation called MOUs. But again, this also happens very. Look at an institution like when you're doing electrical engineering. When it comes to level 6, for instance, it might force you to have an MOU with maybe the Kenya Power, because some of the facilities required there require things that you may not be able to afford. So that's where we came in. Now, 78% had adopted greening and resource conservation efforts. That was quite an excellent. 78% is excellent performance. And we have adopted tree planting, water harvesting, biogas, and renewable energy initiatives. Now, 51% had initiated activities and plans to respond to community needs, CSR. That means that a good number of us had deliberate plan of action on how to support the communities where they are located. Now, is 51% really good? That was actually the ceiling for us. If you had 50 and below, we could look at that as an area that required an improvement. 51% fairly considered to be fairly okay. Improvement areas, open days, we do expect that institutions use open days as another avenue to market themselves, tell the community what you do. Once in a while, maybe annually, depending on what you want. Only 26% of the institutions that planned research activities. You may have had a research unit, but the planning was poor. That means that 29%, only 20% had done serious plan of action that would be observed. Now, 22% had put in place system for dissemination of research findings. You don't just do research and keep it in your shelves. We expect that the stakeholders are fairly sensitized on what the findings of your research are. And that could be in terms of journals, conferences, symposiums. Quite a number. Some of our institutions are doing fairly well. And those of ours don't do that, we also encourage that we follow suit. Customer satisfaction surveys done by only 22% of the institutions. Not really good picture. Now, industrial on field visits and attended by 45% of the institutions. That means that 55% are not doing very well when it comes to industry. the terms of production units, only 49% of the institutions are established income generating activities. So this is a necessity for purposes of helping our trainees to be able to have what is called on-job training also. If you have a few programs that are aligned, or production units that are aligned to the curriculum that we do, it becomes another source of training other than just generating income. We can also be able to use them to help our trainees have on-job training. Now, only 45% had of the institutions had, brought on board trainees to participate in the production units. So again, this is an area that we probably may want to improve on. Instead of, say, employing outsiders, we can always have a few of us, even doing what is called work study programs that we really work for our institutions. Most of for the institutions that, for the trainees that come from poor families, we can always do that. Now, special findings, institutions scored 70%. Some 17 out of 54 were non-compliant, having scored 30% and below with regard to research and innovation. 8 TVCs out of the 17 had scored 15% and below. Really not very nice for in the public institutions. A very green picture. Now, we are research and innovation special mention. The following institutions are there for you to see. They have done very well, scoring excellent performance that is at 76% and above. Those ones are the ones that we, during that audit period, we found to have done very well with regard to research and innovation. Now, private TVCs, 122 private TVCs. Among them, 44 had developed in terms of obtaining feedback from the industry and largely through industrial attachment programs and collaborations. Now, areas of improvements or challenges, 91% had not initiated innovation and research. 94% had not developed a plan of research. 87% not organized any open day. 76% not initiated any resource conservation programs. And 78% had no income generating activities. So when it comes to private colleges, I think we are not doing very well. We really need to up our game so that we are on the same platform with others. Now, special findings. Some 3 TVCs were exceptional, having scored 70% and above. 77 out of 112 were non-compliant. Really bad picture. That is 30% and below. 18 of these scored below 10 and below. So that's really not very good for us. Now, we want to have special mention of institutions that have done very well under that category. 3 of them scored 76 and above, and you can see them there on our table. Oh, I thought we had also screening the other side. So we had the St. John in Kitui, Baraka in Nakuru, and Kenya School of Integrated Medicine is in Kwale. For VTCs, what are we having here? Overall mean performance, 24%. Highest institutions got 81% and lowest got 0%. Some 25 out of 247 scored 50 and above. Then it was noted because of that only 29 out of 247 scored 5 and below, 5% and below. In overall, 125 out of 247 were non-compliant, having scored 30% below. That means that more than half performed very well. But you have to have a special mention of a few institutions of VTCs that did very well or in an area of innovation. As I've said, we don't expect them to do research, but in terms of having a few innovative activities, more products, giving back to the community and greening, we had Tepsion, as the name you can see here, in Kericho, Gede in Kilifi, Omboni is a private one in Nakuru, Voi in TVETA, Hola, Tanariva, Lodwa in Turkana, and Tumaini Innovation in Chingishu. So what are we saying? That's what we need to do in terms of recommendations. Institutions need to prioritize on research committees to help us spearhead innovation and research. We must have structured plan. There's a plan of actions for every annually we must have a plan of action. What is it that we want to do for the year for each requirement in each institution? A framework for disseminating research findings. And those of us that are from also on the TVCs, we must have to do a bit of research and get a way of doing dissemination. And then implement other valuable feedback and insights. I know most of us have cooperation with the industry. Then establish partnerships with the industry, which is important, and invest in the development and promotion of production units. And more importantly, we do expect that each institution must have a small percentage of its budget that is geared towards research and innovation. Usually, I think the government target is 2% of the budget going through to on research and innovation, and develop structured programs that integrate production activities with the curriculum. That is it. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Can we give a better clap to him? Okay, as we come to the end of the presentations, I want to confirm that we are aware that you would have various reactions to the presentations that we've had, beginning with what Dr. Ari had on overview, then leadership, and now for the physical facilities. Kindly note down those comments because we are going to have a session for plenary that we'll discuss. I'm also informed that lunch is likely to delay until 2. So I want to ask for your permission. Do we allow the next presentation? That is the last presentation. Then after lunch, we have plenary. Then we leave by 4. That is it, with your permission. Oh, it is granted. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Maybe just one announcement. There are the QR codes that are on the various tables. So if you've not registered online, kindly do that because you are collecting data for future engagements and any other information. You'll want to use that information to even send the slides of the presentation. So if you're having challenges, you have officers around here who are going to help you. Thank you so much. Well, for the final presentation. Then after that, we'll all proceed for lunch. Then we come back for the final plenary and we'll call it a day. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm shorter from this side. I believe we are doing well and you have reactions. So we will have, as my colleague has indicated. I'll be taking you through the training delivery, which is the heart of the matter. Training delivery is the heart of TVETA, because without the trainer, without the trainees, we will not be doing anything. But we collaborate. There is what we call triangulation. So we have the resources, we have the trainers, we have the trainees, and we have the tools of trade. And so I'll be talking to you about training delivery, and I'll also tackle trainee support, because we expect the institutions to take care of the trainees who are our customers. My name is Mary Munyi. I think I said my name earlier. We can look at this. The areas that we evaluate include the provision of a timetable that is supposed to be friendly to the trainees, and the mechanisms for monitoring class attendance, updated professional documents. These are the schemes of work, records of work, etc., and assessment records. Do you retain them? The internal ones and the external records. And then the industrial attachment records. And we also look at the programs that you have been licensed to offer. From our bars there, we can see that there are different categories. That is the public TVCs, the private TVCs, and the vocational training centers. And their performance was really diverse. As you can see, the mean for the public institutions was at 41, that was below 50%, 35 for the private ones, and 29 for the VTCs. And you can agree with me, that was very low. But we of course had some outliers, that is those that scored the highest in this criteria. And we had 88 for the public TVCs, 78 for the private ones, and 88 for the VTCs, which was very formidable. As you can see, that they sometimes were not doing very well. And of course, the lowest, my colleague had talked about the bars giving zero, having a zero, there is no bar. So you can see that we still have a challenge. The public institutions scoring 15%, that is really low, according to us. And the private and the VTC scoring zero, that means that we need to do something concerning this training that is taking place in our institutions. However, there are some strengths that we noted, and we could just look at them. Of course, most of the institutions had a timetable, and while 89 are not 100%, it is because some institutions told us that a trainer takes the trainees that they are training in their individual programs, so they don't prepare timetables, and that is a weakness. 78% had mechanisms for monitoring trainer and trainee class attendance, while 70% maintained professional documents. That tells you that 30% are not maintaining the professional document, which is a problem. 69% had mechanisms for setting and moderation of internal assessments. Of course, this tells you that many institutions were not incorporating moderation of assessments. 81% maintained records of analyzed assessment results, that was also good. 74 had developed examination and industrial attachment policies for the institutions, while 87 implemented supervised industrial attachment, and 8% facilitated trainees with group insurance covers. there were still major weaknesses, as you have seen from the percentage scores. The courses mounted in 51% of our institutions, that is public TVETA, had not been accredited. And 54% did not have a verification mechanism for assessment results. For the private TVCs, they still had major strengths. 94% had displayed a timetable to guide the training, while 80% developed a training timetable that was trainee-friendly and reflected curriculum requirements. 53% of these institutions had trainee and trainer class attendance monitoring mechanism. So that means they were able to tell us that so many trainees are attending classes and so many trainers are available for these classes. 57% maintained a record of analysis of their examination results. We expect institutions to analyze examinations as a form of feedback to the trainers so that you know where the trainees are having weaknesses to improve on that. 69% implemented supervised industrial attachment. Of course, we tell this a weakness when you set trainees out for attachment and there is no follow-up, they are not supervised, and nobody takes record of what they have acquired or what they are doing in the workplace as they train. For the private TVCs, they also had several weaknesses, and 46% did not maintain records of updated trainer professional documents. And that's a very major weakness. That means many of the trainers do not have schemes of work, they do not have records of work, and maybe they could not tell us how many had attended their classes to some extent. 45% of the courses mounted had not been licensed by the authority, and that's a major weakness which other speakers have already spoken about. 63% did not have a mechanism of setting and moderation of exams. That means everybody was doing setting their exams and administering, marked the exams, did the score records, and nobody got to do quality assure the process. 50% had neither developed examination nor industrial attachment policies. We expect institutions to prepare these policies to assist them or to guide them while they are administering exams and while they are sending their trainees out for industrial attachment. 67% did not have a verification mechanism for the assessment. I've already mentioned that. And others did not 61% did not facilitate insurance for the trainees while they sent them out for attachment. It's a risk area that needs to be mitigated, because even a trainee got injured at the workplace during industrial attachment, that becomes a big issue, medical and otherwise. So it is important that the institutions take care of this. We don't ask you to be involved in the payment, but we ask that you facilitate. You can talk to the insurance providers so that they can provide a group cover for the trainees for those days that they are sent out for attachment. Recommendations for all the TVCs, they had similar issues. So the trainers are supposed to keep or maintain updated schemes of work, records of work in all the trade areas that they are training, and they are supposed to urgently apply for licensing for additional courses where applicable through the TVETA MIS. And I think this is an area of non-compliance which has already been spoken about. The institutions are supposed also to develop and implement institutional assessment and industrial attachment policies. And this, we are not asking for so much. There are templates that you can use, you can benchmark with your colleagues, institutions, so that you can come up with these policies because they are important. Formally appoint an industrial liaison officer for each institution to spearhead implementation of the industrial attachment. As we go to move to modularization and continue with the CBET training, this is a very important person because he keeps or she keeps contact with the industry. We continue on the same. The institutions are supposed to develop and implement academic and examination policies for curriculum delivery so that they have some points of reference for what they are doing. And of course, establish a mechanism for setting, moderation, and the verification of the assessment. And of course, maintain the updated records. The institutions are also supposed to facilitate trainees to get group insurance cover. I've already mentioned this because it is important to mitigate on any risks. For the VTCs, apparently we looked at VTCs from their own counties. So we'll talk generally about their scores, but we can look at specific counties on how they fared on. The areas that we were looking at and their strengths include the timetables. 94% had trainee-friendly timetables. That means that the hours marked on the timetable are friendly to the trainees, because we do not expect the trainees to be in class from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. There must be some breaks, maybe some co-curricular activities involved in the course of the training. Attendance monitoring, that was done in 77% of the institutions, and 63% of the VTCs had incorporated industrial attachment as part of training as required, and although the supervision varied. This is where we have a major weakness, because most of our VTCs, they are not supervising the trainees when they go out for attachment. On professional documents, only 54% maintained updated professional documents, and this includes schemes of work, records of work, attendance registers, etc. And this is an area that, of course, we expect a lot of improvement from our vocational training institutions. There are weaknesses, as we have seen from the strengths. 92% lacked documented examination policies, and that's where we are saying that they need to benchmark so that they can come up with their own policies that are based on what they do within the institutions. Moderation and analysis, only 18% had moderation mechanisms of the exams, and only 15% had analyzed the exam results, which means this is an area that requires a lot of improvement, because if we remove 18% from 100, we get what? 70? 80? Mathematics. It tells you that there is a major weakness in our VTCs that needs to be addressed. Poor industrial attachment supervision, I've already mentioned that so many institutions were not supervising, or they were not sending trainers to supervise the trainees while they are out for industrial attachment. And then there was incomplete professional documents. Trainers in the 46% of the institutions, they failed to maintain these professional documents. And why we have this number, it boils back to the level of training of our trainers in the vocational training institutions. You realize from what my colleague had presented at HR, most of them, they lack pedagogy. And most of them also lack the minimum qualification for a trainer. You will find a number of them have grade test qualification, and this now leads to poor maintenance of updated professional documents, because they are not even familiar with them and they are not sure of how to prepare them. Unaccredited programs 43% of the courses were unlicensed. So this is also mirroring back to us as the authority, and my colleague had indicated that we are a bit gracious, but the grace may come to an end. So when the grace comes to an end, I think we will get to your institutions, close the institutions, or terminate some of these programs that you are offering without accreditation. Recommendations. Institutions need to develop and maintain and implement examination and industrial attachment policies, so that it's not just preparing the policies so that the authority staff, when they come, they find that you have a policy. We want that policy to be developed and to be implemented so that we can have positive impact in what is happening in our institutions. We also expect the institutions to establish mechanisms for examination, setting, moderation, and verification. There are a number of you who have told me that you cannot moderate an examination for another trade areas, but I beg to differ. When an examination is set, I think any one of us can look into it, other than the technical detail, which may require the person involved, but the others can support, even to look at the test scores, the structure of the questions, the coverage of the syllabus, etc. Analyze exam results for feedback and curriculum improvement. We expect these results to be a mirror to the trainer. Much as we are giving feedback to the trainees, we expect the trainer to get feedback. Where is the weakness? Where are the strong areas? Where are the areas that we can improve on? Supervise industrial attachment and provide insurance for the trainees. I've already said that it is important for us to make sure that we mitigate every risk that may come up. Ensure programs are accredited and trainers maintain updated professional documents. And we are saying there is issue of capacity building to the trainers, which can be availed by the authority. And also TVETA has been supporting our institutions in this area. And so we expect that as we move to the modularized curriculum, we are going to experience better results from the training that is taking place, because our institutions are going to be compliant with the law. And I've come to the end. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mary. I think we can, this is our day for us to disseminate the quality audit reports. And I know you have so many styles of appreciation, but for now, we can just, for all the presenters since morning, we can have just one clap for all of them to appreciate. Let's go one. Thank you so much. I think we are getting close to lunch, and I want to appreciate your patience. I hope you've not slept or you never prayed for us, that prayer when you close your eyes. But you're very diligent. We really appreciate your patience. It has been a whole 2 hours pumping information non-stop, and you've been able to sustain the presence of the DCC, Rongai. Thank you so much. He is representing the County Commissioner for Nakuru, and this being his county, it is good for him to assure us of our safety. Thank you so much. As we go for lunch, we'll take around 1 hour or 40 minutes if we agree, because the service providers are very fast. All of us are going to have lunch together so that we can also interact and fellowship during lunch, so that we can also let those who are up there tell us how cool it is, and those who are down here tell us how hot it is down here. So that will be a session for interaction, so all of us will be served out here. As we come back, because it is good for me to mention, tomorrow is going to be your day. As per the program, I don't know how many have been able to access the program. We had the program digitally. Let me see those who are digital. You know, for now, in this dispensation of Gen Z, if you are not digital, you will find yourself in the wrong places and say wrong spaces. So you are trying to catch up. So the program was presented digitally. As you register, once you register, the program is sent automatically to your mail. But we'll try to provide a few physical ones as we go for lunch so that you can be able to refer to them. Tomorrow, we are going to have presentations from you. And we hope that as per the program, you organized yourself so that you now let me know who will be presenting you in that, so that we now prepare and allocate time. So as we go for lunch, maybe that is an area we are going to deliberate on. We are going to have a presentation from a whole 1 hour, because the majority here, we really want to listen and find out what are the challenges they've been facing in regard to implementation of training, our TVETA training. What lessons have they learned? What recommendations are they making to us? So that is, for us, that is going to be a very important session, and it is going to be moderated by our board of directors. So we'll want to know who will be making the presentation for the CEC. If not, then lunchtime will provide an opportunity for you to select amongst yourselves who will be making a presentation on behalf of the chief officers in charge of education, for the county directors of vocational education and training. I think they have a caucus or association, and they know. And then we had an association for VTC managers. That is a session for the county government. Then Kati was also invited, and I thought they've also designated one of their own to represent them here in that area. Then we have Kenapco for the private institutions. We realize that some of the challenges or the lessons might be unique based on your category and your type of institution. So I'll be receiving those names so that we are able to fit you in the program. Then there are the state agencies. In the afternoon tomorrow, we are going to have panel discussions. No, mid-morning. That is mid-morning tomorrow. The panel discussions, whereby all the issues that are regarding to you and the issues that are affecting you and should be addressed by our relevant state agencies that were invited. That is HELP, Higher Education Loans Board. We have COOPS, we have TVETA, SIDAC, Kenya National Qualifications Framework, the State Department of TVETA, and of course TVETA. All of us will have a panel here, and it will be the time for you to pose all those questions that you've been asking us, so that we can have a way forward as we move out of here. And then in the evening, we'll have a way forward. Sorry for that. So I don't know if there's anyone to confirm the lunch.
It's ready. It's ready.
Okay, I'm reliably informed that lunch is ready, and as I'm being guided and informed that we might not be able to interact as I thought during lunchtime, it likely go there, and we are hoping that in the spirit of national cohesion, is it national cohesion or broad-based government, so that we all find our space in there. We likely, as from tomorrow, we are going to improve on that so that we have a chance to even share contacts with each other. Thank you so much. Let's have a volunteer pray for our lunch. Kindly take the shortest time if we want to leave. Is anyone feeling unsafe to leave this place? I think the principal will also be telling us if he has enough accommodation in case of curfew to accommodate us all. But we have enough security here. So as long as we are here, we are very safe. We'll also be monitoring the situation in town so that we don't leave and we now get ourselves into trouble. So we'll keep you updated, but we want to say that as for now, we are safe. Let's have a volunteer pray for our lunch, kindly. A volunteer, just raise your hand, then I'll come where you are. Or the prayers in the morning are sufficient.
Let's start now with the prayer. I guess we are all okay. Let's go with the gadgets over there. We still hear the prayers, yeah? Okay, let's bow in prayer. Our Father, our Lord, our Redeemer, we call upon your holy name to bless us as we go to partake our lunch. I thank you for this meeting, and we met here for a purpose. Guide us all through. As you give us the physical food, may you also provide spiritual nourishment. In Jesus' name we pray.
Thank you. Enjoy your lunch.
quickly settle down so that we can proceed. We are going to have a plenary session, and most likely is a reaction to the quality audit report, because tomorrow is when we will be giving our own opinions and suggestions that will form the policy recommendation. Today is more of reaction to and explaining the findings. I would like to open the plenary session by inviting the DCC. We will invite the county commissioner, by also we were told you will assure us of our security. Karibu Bwana DCC. This is the first time we are involving them, and we are committed to implement the directive from HOPS of working very close with Ngao. Karibu.
Thank you very much. Board of Directors, TVETA Authority, senior government official from the national and county, participants, all protocol observed. Good afternoon. Mimi naitwa Murendat William. Mimi ni Deputy County Commissioner katika eneo hili. And I'm here on behalf of Nakuru County Commissioner, Dr. Lyford Ibarra. So at this moment, you know, as we are discipline officers, and when your post is around, you take care, lest you are outshine your post, and then you will be disciplined. And then what follows is discipline for gross misconduct and insubordination. So hapa niko very careful not to miss my words. So at this moment, without wasting time, nataka tuweke maua flower. Kitio County Commissioner Nakuru.
But honestly, first of all, that you invite very important stakeholder engagement. Actually, it has been put that is the first time for us with what is going on nationally. You understand our responsibility. That's why I was able to make it. Our colleague, Mr. Dr. Gibara, is represented by Mr. Morindat. The County Commissioner, Narok, was not able to make it to this place. Equally, Bomet told me actually will be coming, but because of the new developments, we cannot make it. And even the gentleman from Baringo, he could not make it because of the same. But I can assure you that when you have seen us, the two of us, you have seen all of us, because we do the same things and similar things. Now I'll just talk briefly because we have attended this forum as very key stakeholders, not only for the TVETs, but the entire education fraternity. We are very, very important stakeholders as national government administration in various ways. Even the principals and managers who are here will attest that they cannot operate in their environments without the input of the national government administration. Because our role is the issue of security. Your customers are not small children, they are adults. And most of them do not stay inside the institution. Most of them stay outside the institution. Areas they can come into contact with various things which can compromise their discipline. For example, when you are marketing your courses and programs at the grassroots, the department of choice is normally the national administration. We could be the only department which doesn't charge service fee. Yeah? Even yourselves, you charge, when students come, you ask them to pay admission fee. In some other departments, consultation fee. But in Ngao, it is absolutely free. And it is 24 hours. Hata usiku, hata ya time hatuulizi. And we do a good job. So please, I want to assure you that our doors are open. At any time, come to us if you require anything. I know our grassroots officers have worked very well with your institutions, especially to increase the numbers of youth who are enrolling in those institutions, and it has worked well. But I also wish to advise as a key stakeholder that as TVET, you also need to brand yourself. And you need to compete. You are not a monopoly. How many need a monopoly? When a student comes out of, somebody can choose to go to MTC. Yeah. But despite being one amongst them, it is also the most strategic. Chairman, you know, TVETs are the most strategic for the youth because it offers technical subjects and subjects which can lead one to self-employment. There is a mechanic who fixes my old car. I own an old car. And it often visits the mechanic. So one time he was telling me, hapa jua kali, mtu akiwa na spanner peke yake. Spanner. Hawezi lala njaa. Unajua ile spanner ile screw spanner. Ile nyangao. Lakini wanaita spanner nyangao. The one which can open anything. That if a youth has that spanner, so now you can imagine if this youth has the technical skills plus a toolbox, they will never sleep on. Now the government has expanded so many things. Rural electrification is everywhere. Sinikweli. Water projects everywhere. TVETs, Wi-Fi's, mailing, so many things. And it requires technical people who will maintain them. And it is you guys who are producing these people. So you are very strategic. So I was talking about branding. You need to brand yourselves. You know, we have the polytechnics and the vocational training institutions. They are miles apart. You cannot compare Rift Valley Polytechnic with a small vocational institution. So what are we doing to bridge that gap? We need to bridge it. Some even do not have a gate. Some of them, I was telling the board chair and the others, that the person who is managing it is a local welder. Ule jamaa anafanya welding hapa. Yamepewa kusimamia that vocational institute. And all the youth know him. Unafikiri yule kijana yako msichana GNC atakubali kwenda hapo? Anajua ile mtu alichoma wheelbarrow, anachomanga wheelbarrow ndio principal. So that's an area where the government must pump resources. We get quality tutors. We do proper branding so that it can attract this youth for in the color. Then in some years back, there was a lot of conversion of technical training institutes into universities. At one time, I actually thought maybe it's a government policy to kill these technical institutions, then the universities can do everything. But is it practical? It's not practical. But I'm happy that now the river is going back to its course. It's going back to its course. Our principal from Bureti, ameniambia ako na wanafunzi 9,000. 9,000. If that institution was not there, where would the 9,000 be? Ungekuwa na bambana na chief. So please, I want to appeal to the Ministry of Education that we need to support these technical institutions. I know other stakeholders will raise other issues. Now, our main role as Ngao, we will assist you with mobilization. Mobilizing the parents, mobilizing the learners to come to school. We'll also assist you to mobilize resources from other partners where possible, so that the institutions can be improved. We also commit that we will improve security around these institutions and where the learners stay. By the way, I was also county commissioner in Nakuru, and we used to have challenges up, especially security on the roads. Accidents used to claim students around here and other things. And every time it happens, they close the road. So we'll be there to assist. Finally, I would wish to urge the policymakers that for us to assist, they will assist you a lot. Na ukituona usiseme labda wamekuja kuomba. Because it is easier to handle an administrator when he is in your meeting and you tell them everything. Otherwise, with those few remarks, I thank you once more for inviting us. Today, I have actually learned a lot of things about TVETA. Ile mahali tumekaa hapo, niko na siri yenu mingi sana. But I can assure you that I'm vetted, haitatoka nje. But I also wish the government can assist, particularly your tutors. Tutor, ule wanafunzi watengenezewe mambo ikuwe mzuri kidogo. so that it can also attract and retain quality people. Otherwise, asanteni sana. Thank you.
Thank you very much, County Commissioner. And already we have heard about two ways forward from it. One is involvement of Ngao in our Board of Governors and Board of Management so that we can work seamlessly. And as co-opted is very good because you will be inviting them on needs basis. If the agenda of the day requires their input, you will be able to invite them. You are wondering why I was also very keen with my words and not saying much. It's also because my bosses are around. And I'm not running from responsibility, Bwana County Commissioner. On our part, we want also to be very clear that we are not offering free services. And now they are offering free services 24 hours. For TVETA Authority, we charge a fee called Quality Assurance Fee, which is a gazetted fee. So it's a legal payable fee, which is charged at the rate of 500 shillings per trainee per year, annual fee. So kindly support us so that we can deliver quality service to the nation. At this point, allow me now to welcome our board director, Dr. Julius Keter, to take us through the plenary section. Karibu, director. Makofi kwa director. That one cannot earn me promotion. Makofi mazuri. Asante.
Thank you very much, Director. I'll be very brief. My session is a simple one. The mic so that... So I didn't see our guys from press taking the pictures of Ngao so that when we do our story, we show the hopes that we are involved. Did you take pictures? Yeah, we really need to do that. So we are very grateful for all of you who have come. And as we said at the beginning, this is a forum for free exchange of ideas. And I want to bring us to the same level now. Forget that you have bosses here so that you can speak. Maybe there is that thing which is pressing you as you carry out your duties in your station. Hakuna mtu atafvictimize wewe. Just say it so that we find a solution together. That is the importance of this session now, question and answer. And so I want to guide that we will take the first three presenters. They will come here. You say you respond issues that you want. You mention the issues you want responded.
Is the issue of the vocational training centers having the quality assurance committee. Given the fact that our centers are so small and the number of instructors in those centers, when I look at it, I thought it can be very difficult in most centers. Maybe we need to come up with a different framework whereby maybe, because that is a very key sector which need to be incorporated in these centers, we need to look for a way on how we can come up with such a kind of vocational training centers. And then the second one is the issue of performance appraisal systems. Without the government, the kind of performance appraisal systems done is not that one done in the government institution like TVETA institutions. It's cascaded from the departments, whereby the center departments, whereby the centers to what we are doing. Maybe there should be a way of also coming up with a better mode of putting performance management in our centers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for those two questions. Any other?
It's about when the auditors do come to our institutions, normally we demand what we call that is the.
Thank you. We go to your question. I'll appoint somebody to respond to that. We have somebody to respond to that. We have a lady from Meru, I think.
Thank you very much. TVETA. When KPC was concluded,
I request you
say that the services are not free. They charge quality assurance fee, Kenya shillings 500 per train per year, if I've gotten it. So I'm asking, does this apply to our vocational training centers trainees? That is my question. And if so, I was thinking this is too high for them. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that question. I want us to respond to the three questions. The first one from Joseph Buana from Tana River, and his question was on the issue of VTC, the Quality Assurance Committee, that in most VTCs, they have very few trainers, and to constitute committees is an issue. We canvassed that thing in the board one time, and I don't know who still remembers. Timothy, are you able to respond to that? Or any board member? Yeah, I think. Let Timothy try to respond to that. And if you cannot, Timothy, try to respond.
Where, for example, you are starting, you have 2 courses, you have 3 staff, and yourself as a manager, making 4. We cannot push you to that extreme of now having all those committees, because it means that the 4 of you will now belong to every committee. Instead, you will just have a management committee, but whose TORs will include quality assurance. We will want to see the TORs quality assurance. We will want to see the TORs capturing all the functions that we spend. Dr. Kichera, I thought that is how we could respond to that very plain today as the other responses are being prepared. The CCs were there. This is a conversation I thought we would start behind doors before we bring it to plenary. The fee is applicable to all TVET trainees, including those in vocational training centers. It's the rollout that started from the national polytechnics and TVCs, but it's going to calm down. Calm down. That is the conversation that we were starting in the boardroom today. It was an item we were throwing on the table for consideration because it has budgetary implications for you. If, for example, we take Nakuru County, which is doing capitation for its trainees, then it would be that then they adjust the structure, those items in the budget, to include the QA fees. So when the manager is spending at the institutional level, they know this amount that was given, the 30,500, then will be QA fees. So it's a conversation we have started, we have thrown it to the CECs, and the conversation will continue to go, but it's applicable to all trainees. The rollout is first. Dr. Aniki?
Thank you, DG. You know, I requested DG to respond on the issue of QA fee because the issue of risk. So that everyone, including the trainees, can access. We really appreciate. And when use soft copy, you also need to have evidence that the soft copy can be accessible by the institution fraternity. Because sometimes you say there is a soft copy in a computer that is a soft copy in a computer that is only found in the principal. So definitely all the staff can't be coming to them again are not targets to be achieved in a vocational training center.
VTC education is purely free. And if there's anything to do with fees, the county fees. Like we have our youth getting trained per year, or even 2,000. If we're going to take about 500 shillings going to the national government in terms of quality assurance fees, there'll be a conflict. Because we normally have issues that what is evolved, what's not evolved. We are taking back the money that has been paid to us, to the national government. Kindly explain how we shall go about that business.
Thank you. Thank you for that. We'll leave. Yeah, you can come.
My name is Wilson Koske. I'm the Deputy Principal. I think the County Commissioner is my neighbor, the one who has spoken. So, first thing is to thank the GAO. They have really done marketing. And Kericho, Commissioner, since you started, we have gotten 1,000 students, and quite a number have reported today, about 400. Our target is 6,000. Now we have 4,000. So you have to another 2,000. So authority. So it's an authority. Authority has powers. The State Department, we have a money. So that's Karibu.
Thank you. The next one was here.
Good afternoon once again. I'm David Magero from Muli College, Machakos. I think there are two issues, if you may allow me to share, and then you respond to them. The first issue is to do with the registration of trainers, whereby, and this one, I think I'm talking this on behalf of private institutions, whereby you find some of these institutions that are actually straining financially, but they are actually willing to reduce the number of young people who are out there seeking for opportunities to acquire skills that can help them lead a dignified livelihood. Now you find that one of the requirements that for registration as a trainer, I think, is this trainer must have pedagogy skills. And I think that one has been a very big hindrance to a number of willing trainers. And that is why you note that the trainers who have actually registered with the TVETA, they are very few. And that is the hiccup, actually. Now my question is, let's take an example of a young man or a young lady who have taken a diploma in automotive engineering, passed very well with that distinction, then he has gone to, let me call it a garage somewhere. He has practiced, gained 2 years experience. My question is, why can't this young person be registered by TVETA. Still on the resource, is there?
Thank you very much. I'm Stafford Dorina. You take too long to respond, to come. A case in example is we invited you in February, you came in June. So some of us operate in a very volatile environment, and you leave the college at limbo. Thank you.
Thank you, Orina. Orina was my student somewhere, so you'll be very sure you'll get an answer. So, for the first question from Nana, I don't think we'll deal with it exhaustively here, Nana, because the act that created TVETA gives there must be a fee that is charged for the operations. Taking the money to national government, it's taking to TVETA, which is a regulator. And the question would be, have they come to the ground to assist in issues of quality? And if they do, then there is value for money. So that's my thinking, but I may want maybe others to respond to. The second question from Wilson. Wilson, your question was a bit interesting because you are almost shifting your responsibility to county commissioner again of marketing your institution. And so I was wondering, he is assisting you, I thought so. So you be in the forefront. But the question you asked were related to the class size. And I usually have an answer to this, and my board members know. One time, I was in the Republic of Rwanda in an institution, a polytechnic, and we were given 250 students for engineering class, and we had requested 50. And my boss told me, let's go and tell the president, this is serious. And he organized, and we went. And when we met with the president, we argued our case very well. And then we waited for him to respond. But he threw back the question to us. He said, which one is better? For the Rwandese children to be roaming in the hills or to be roaming around the corridors of a training institution? Somehow they get something. And we kept quiet, and because that is the situation here. It is better for you to have many students roaming around. They will get something. And I think Opora was to respond on issues of, that was my response, but Director Opora maybe can say something because that falls under State Department on issues of equipping and workshops, because you also mentioned workshop. It all revolves about funding. You know, we are in a resource-constrained environment, and therefore we must exist. But it is good for you to know that those kids are better to roam within your institution than in the tea plantation around. Panopora, maybe you may want to. Oh, Director is here.
Thank you very much. I think the question which was asked, which you are trying to answer, there is a component that required the TVETA authority to declare whether these numbers that you have so much of it in class, we're not doing something about it. That was thrown to us, isn't it? I believe that our licenses for program has numbers. Can it be confirmed by Timothy? So we give you a program, we say you can teach this one, we specify the number of students. All of them. Now, where the challenge arises has been answered. The Rwandese scenario. It is better not to have children in the streets of Kericho roaming around rather than being in your institution. So it is not us not doing our work, it is not us, we did ours, and we said for this course, this is the number of students. But the government is big. Even a county commissioner would not be happy if you turn away students who are willing to learn, because TVETA said only 35. So that if 50 comes, you say, no, 15, go back and roam in Kericho Street. So this is the scenario we have. So each of us are doing their work. TVETA, I protect them. I say they always license a program and give student numbers. But we are all Kenyans. Turning away 15 students back to the streets of Kericho, even Gao will not allow you to do that. Thank you very much. The Director.
Iko sawa sawa kabisa. It's true. We are looking to, the government wants to increase. And I said that the current enrollment is about 700,000, but we are targeting to go 2 million. Today, if we go outside there, people are moving around. They did not ask permission from their jobs. If they are working somewhere, like the way you are, they will not be there. But because they are idle, that's why you can see all over. When you have a politicians having their mkutano, even on a working day, you find so many young people already there. Who is giving them permission if they are in an institution or if they are working? The reality is, these people are idle. These are the people who want to move from the streets to train, give them skills so that they can do something. I'm happy from what the TVETA has responded. But again, institutions' success is good leadership and looking outside the box. I have a class in the morning of 20, afternoon of 20. Being mbaya, so they are maintaining quality, but I think that TVETA did not tell you, but that this institution should not have more than 40. But at that class, when you are teaching, the class, it is not the institution, it is the class. Tumeelewana hapa? Sasa.
Thank you very much, Director. That is very clear. Okay. I hope we have answered you. Thank you for those responses. The next one is that from David Makero from Muli College, Machakos, and he was asking about these people who have technical skills. They have worked as practical persons, but they cannot be allowed to teach. I think teaching is an art. You have to be baptized, and that baptism is by you getting pedagogy. So Muli, not Muli, but David, those people must get pedagogy. That is, I don't think there is a shortcut to that. That is the position of government. Again, your second question of funding, I've been an advocate and trying to support what private institutions do by supplementing training. But your question came in a way that cannot be supported. You are seeking funding maybe by government to construct in a private environment. That one will raise issues. Queries are serious ones. But maybe you could seek other ways of partnering with government, especially on placement of students into your institutions. That would be easier than for government to invest in a private entity. I don't think that one can happen. And if it happens, there will be serious audit queries. So for now, the best way is, and we canvass that one in the morning together with the representative of the peers. We argued that you should be supported to get maybe students. So thank you for that. The next one was Orina, who was asking about accreditation, which has taken time. And DG, this falls under your office now. You may want to answer. Thank you. The period of that institution in Turkana applied for accreditation in February. Up to now, the team has not reached the ground. Yeah, so.
Madam Biana, would you like to?
We are working so hard. Any new accreditation that we have, requests for accreditation, we try to solve it as quickly as possible. Again, we also rely on the exchequer when we have money. So when we have government funds that can allow us to visit your institution, we try as much as possible. So I think us dealing with that could be an isolated case. But currently we are really working towards ensuring that whichever institution requests for accreditation, we schedule you as quickly as possible so that the next meeting, the board is meeting, you get your reports. So if that was an isolated case, we apologize. But next time, we'll do better. Thank you.
What's the name of the institution?
Is it?
Skitel Kapel.
Last time I heard you were in Dodo. Thank you for that. Board will be monitoring to see if it is a really isolated case, and we will be asking. I'll be asking because I'm the chair of technical committee. In the next board, we want to see that something has been done in the next technical committee. In the response about pedagogy, I would have wanted, I forgot to, there is somebody from TVETA who can say something. Where is he? Thank you. You can give a comment on the training of pedagogy for our friend to respond. After that, we'll have the last round of 3 more questions, then we conclude. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You know, as you have said, it's a government, but as much as it is school system have added value because you are trained on planning, execution, and keeping records. And nowadays, because we benchmark with the world best practices, we keep on even capacity building our own trainers because they need it as much as they are trained. Many a times we get requests from county governments, and we have trained a number of them. Some ask for short courses because they know they need it. And the advice we usually give is that a tailor-made program, as many requests come, cannot qualify you to get a license as a trainer. But what we usually try is to assist them improve in their service delivery at the institutions. So it can be some isolated cases. If you can get somebody who can be good without having to be trained, you can imagine even if to teach, for example, in a primary school. Somebody leaves school and is told, because you can handle the subject, just go and teach. I think it will be a bit chaotic. We need to bring order. We need to standardize the way we handle trainees. We need to prepare documents in the way we can relate. Even if you hand over to another trainer, he can take over with ease and there can be progress. So I think I would not really overemphasize the need to get trained as much as it's a government policy.
Now, Director also comment.
Yes, thank you. Having skill does not mean that you can also deliver the skill or transfer to somebody else. You can have a skill, but you need a method of transferring that skill to somebody else. We came up with the TVETA authority to regulate that because we discovered there was problems. Everybody was doing their own things. So in order to stimulate the sector, we said there must be a standard. And the standard says clearly, have the skill and also have the method of transmitting. So I heard somebody saying that they are qualified people to train, but they cannot be employed. They are not qualified. Those people are qualified to work, but not qualified to train. If they want to train, let them come for the training to qualify. In fact, now it's a government policy, even to the university, where we lecturers used just to lecture. Now it's coming out that they must also have pedagogy, so that they can lecture properly. So training is a skill that somebody requires. Let us not confuse. And you cannot say that it's not possible to get people to employ. If you advertise, you will find so many people qualified and you just employ them. So hakuna shida hapo.
Thank you very much, the Director, representative of the PS. I think it cannot be put better than he has done it. That is it. And so let's take the last round. We start with him, and then, she was the first one actually. And then we go back there, and then one more, Jeruyot. And then we'll be done for the day. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Nancy Kabidja from Mombasa County. I would just first want to appreciate this forum that has been organized for us to be able to get this information and dissemination of the audit report. Yeah, looking at the audit report, it was clear that most of our trainers have not been licensed. And just to take a cue from what has just been said, but I also look at it from another angle. When it all started, we have to pay 1,000. It's something new that was coming on board. I think that one we need to reconsider. For us, at least so that we can also establish the same, that if we are recruiting, we have a criteria, you must have a TVETA number. At least if it goes that way, it is easier for us even to get tutors who are trained, licensed, and for us to employ. So I think as a board, maybe you can consider even having a drive of making it free. Can you apply everybody? Then from there we can move forward, and at least we can have more people licensed. My other issue was on the 500 of auditing. For me, it is the first time I'm getting to hear this, but I understand that Terry said that there was public participation, so maybe it happens elsewhere where I was not. But at that stage where we are coming up, and when you look at the counties' way of how funding is happening in the institutions, for us we do not in these institutions, and they are still struggling. So maybe by the time we get to that,
with the name and then where you come from and ask the question.
Hello, my name is Elvis from Omuga Technical. Omuga is in Homa Bay. I have two questions. One was from a presentation by Madam Mary Muni, and this was on assessment and attachment. And in a recommendation, it says that to develop and implement examination and industrial attachment policies. So in this case where a student is an attachment, The student is taking food and beverage, or say cosmetic, and the trainer who is going to assess this student is a trainer on welding. Does this, would the student be able to get effective assistance from the trainer? That the student may not be able to ask a question maybe directly to the trainer or to the person that is in charge there, but when the trainer comes there, they can easily relate whatever was being put in class or whatever was being taught in class with whatever that she's doing there or she is doing there practically. So will you kindly consider that? Last is on CDAC. I think, though I'm not sure, but I think this is one of the best forum I can ask this question. You'll see the CDAC advertising that you have to pay some money. You'll see the CDAC advertising that you have to pay some money. I think 1,000 or 2 as a fee, the conference, and we're told to wait for the response. But I think to date, we haven't received any response.
On the support system that you give to QAIs, the National Polytechnics, as we navigate through the process of certification. And the main key section is about certified industry trainers, or tutors. Do we have a pool of certified industry players who are critical in assessment, critical in evaluation or verification on examinations? We realized that we have such a challenge in that section. Do we cross the different skill sets? That is my question, and thank you.
Thank you very much. So we are going to respond to the 3 questions. The one from Nancy, the board will deliberate and see the way forward if the initial payment would be sufficient so that after 3 years you don't pay, but it will be something will be subject to discussion. On the fee, I think we've canvassed that one many times. I request that we don't go far to the 500, although you are seated next to Gladys, we shall not forget for this. But for now, we were advised that it went through all the processes, and therefore it was cassetted. And for it to be standard, it has to apply to all. Otherwise, we cannot favor one group. But we are aware of the situations or the environment in which VTCs operate. Maybe the board members are listening, they will come up with a way. And I think this debate also started in the morning with Chemoyo and the team. And we can see the best way forward, going forward. But for now, it stands as it is. So I'll not assign anybody to answer that. The second one from Elvis. Do you have anybody from CDAC? Wanik, you don't have. But I would wish, Elvis, if you can give us your details, that we can liaise with CDAC and see if it is true or it is allegation, because we don't know also. So we will raise with CDAC when you have your, because the next thing, if we raise with CDAC, they will ask who is that, who applied, or, and so on and so forth. But we hope that will be able to sort out. So you are asking on assessment, on attachment, where you have somebody in welding going to supervise somebody maybe in hospitality. I don't know under what circumstances that happened, but if maybe, I was imagining maybe you are in an institution where there is no specialist and the student has to be assessed. And so you come up with stopgap measures to solve the problem so that the student doesn't stagnate. So let us balance, that is my view, between conveniencing the student to progress and using the resources you have, both human resource and, but the standards for us is clear. I think we specify when our team comes to the ground, those are the things they look. We don't accredit a program where there is no trainer suitable for that course. So I don't know under what circumstances that will happen. We may not, we may need to know more. But we will carry forward this one with TVETA and see if you applied and you are not considered, then you should give you a regret letter, because that is the best thing, so that you know the reasons are this and this. You may also want to launch a complaint that you know somebody who did not apply and is doing the work, so that so that you rectify the systems there. So finally, Sam Cheruiyot has asked a very important question about our support system, especially on quality assurance, supporting them come up with quality assurance systems that are functional. And I'll draw this one to management. I don't know who is in charge of quality assurance. Yeah, Wanyeki can respond to this. You also respond to, yeah, quality assurance in relation to examination issues and all that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director, and thank you, Sami, for the question and also for coming. On the asked question on quality assurance, we do support the institution to establish their quality assurance establishment of the internal quality assurance. This is the KenQA law that guides on identification of industrial experts, is that whenever you are having approaching, kindly write to these recognized professional bodies like KETREP, and they can be able to send you part of their members who are directly qualified and in the industry. Definitely you will specify the qualification and the experience that you require from them, and most probably they should be working in an industry. You do the same to other professional bodies like the RPL, the Federation of Juakali Association, has been very, very helpful since we have been seeing some assessment taking place in the informal sector. We have many professional bodies, so currently that's where we are relying, but also we continue sensitizing them on the importance of registering as verifiers, so that now we'll have a pool, as you mentioned, so that we can have a pool and we'll maintain their list in our website, so that whenever you need them, you can easily get their services. But since it's a new, it's only hardly a year old, since we deliberately decided to involve the industry in training. So we keep on pushing that agenda, sensitizing the industry, the importance of registering as verifiers, and maybe as it was urged by one of us, maybe the board can run also a drive on the same, where we can get a pool of them, then we train them on the same. I know there are few who are trained under the project. They might not be sufficient for the entire country, but we have a few who are trained under the second project, where we had a few who are trained. On the issue of, if Director you allow me, on the issue of renewal of registration fee, the idea that I buy and the board promised to look at is the one of having a drive, where they can open a drive and registered and the rest. But for renewal fee, that one might not go. So also teaching is a profession, and you must be baptized by doing guideline, where it is saying you must accumulate a certain number of points before you can renew your training license.
So this will be the fee that will be. The real assessment is being done by the mentor who is there. So what we need to do is to have very good mentoring, registering logs of what they have done. So at the end, now the trainer can even come and assess even if it's in the institution and see whether you are able to cover all the outcomes that are stated in the occupational standards. So the trick there might be to enhance our mentoring tools and also to capacity build the industry mentors, because these are the people who work with these students throughout the journey. But us appearing in the industry for some 10 minutes to see them, maybe it's just to ascertain whether they are doing the right thing, whether they have the tools in the process. You check whether the mentoring tool is being signed and aspects like that. But we encourage where possible that even that follow-up, let it be done by qualified experts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Wanyeki, for responding to a number of issues. We've, I think, come to the end of question and answer session. Any question which remains, we can carry forward. What Teruyot was asking, I've been thinking about seriously. We may need as a board to think about it. We should be custodian of, we should have actually a data bank of all these people so that we can refer them for them. I think it's a very valid, and I was advised he was talking about all qualification awarding institutions, which are the national police, which are given they are given the legal mandate to come up with their program and do assessment and give certification. And so I think all the questions have been answered, and I was aware that there was a study that was going on. I think management was to carry out the challenges that national police are going through so that they can advise us on the best way to assist you. So once that assessment has been done, then it will inform our processes. But I agree with you, we should have a data bank of all verifiers so that we can be able to say, you can use this, you can sample from this. So thank you very much for all who have participated in the question and answer method session. I think we've covered quite a lot. So back to the program for today.
Thank you very much, Makofi, co-director. Thank you very much for allowing us to kuongea to talk. You urged us to kuongea to talk. And like me, nimeongea many talk, and now I feel very free. We have successfully come towards the end of this. Your achievements, the challenges that we are facing, and the recommendations on area directors. And I know Bwana Lusweti is here, na pia najua the chief of SAS na CCs. And you can see whether you can combine your presentation together na Lusweti. You can maybe, you can, if you have some of the sentiments, you can give to maybe to him. You will agree if that is okay with you. The CCs and their representatives, and the chief of SAS and their representatives. Madam Phoebe, is there any group I'm leaving out that's making presentation tomorrow? We had invited the private, that is, I don't know whether they are here, Kenapco, and I don't know the Mejipanga, Higher Education Loans Board. So in case there are issues of funding, we are expecting they will be around to be able to have invited TVETA SIDAC. Also, we are expecting them to be in a panel discussion tomorrow, and they should be able to discuss, including the question that was raised today. We'll also be trying to reach to them, maybe because of the challenges they were not able to travel. We have also invited the Kenya National Qualification Authority. In case you have issues on qualification, we are expecting them to be here. We have also invited Kenya University Colleges Central Placement Service, that is CUPS, on the issues of placement. Director Keter indicated whether there can be a possibility partnership between private and government on students' placement. So we are expecting they will be here. Last year they were in Meru and they really supported in addressing the concerns that were there. Sami, we have also invited for you the NRF, the National Research Fund, that's for the national, especially for the QAIs, National Polytechnics. And also we have the other one that gives NACOSTI. So on the issues of patenting of innovations and the supporting of research in the institution. So in case they come tomorrow, they can be able maybe to state how they are going to support that, especially now that they have a state department that purely deals with the issue of research. We are expecting, under the office, I think, of the Prime Minister, we are expecting that they'll be coming in strongly. At this point, I'll ask Phoebe to come and make maybe one or two announcements, then maybe close for us with a word of prayer, including stating the time that will be starting tomorrow. One more announcement for the rapporteurs. Paul Sana. Yeah, Paul Sana. We have invited the Council of Governors. Actually, we wrote to the CEO, Council of Governors, and thank you for representing them. And actually, they are members of the board. The COG is a co-opted member of the TVETA board. Even we had extended our invitation to Madam Valerie Akili, but unfortunately, due to other expediencies, she could not be able to join us. The rapporteurs, kindly let us meet after this also in maybe this table so that we can compile today's report being led by Bwana Njoroge. Phoebe?
Thank you so much, Daktari. It is good we've come to the end and the close of the day. We want to thank God for that. Did we appreciate Daktari? Dr. Keter, our board of directors, did we appreciate? Wengine hata wakumbuki kama moja. I think all of us didn't appreciate him. And as the CC had taught us, we are not disciplined, but we are trying to be disciplined also ourselves. But kazi itaenda. Kesho tunaweza kuja hapa tukose. Let's appreciate him. Let's also appreciate ourselves for being there with one clap each, and let's appreciate the county. Let's appreciate also the Ngao who are here by one clap. So we'll let's prepare ourselves. Just one clap. A clap for Director Keter. One for the CC and Ngao. One for ourselves. Nayangu. Thank you so much. We've come to the end of the session. Tomorrow is your day, as we've indicated. We might not be doing much. Tomorrow will just be listening. You'll have to organize yourself so that now we don't run the program till very late. The first morning, if we can come very early, we start as early as 8:30, so that by time we are breaking for tea, we are done with the various presentations, because those presentations are going to be very key as coming up with our way forward. So now let's organize ourselves in groups. You just give me the name. Who is the name of the presenter? We had also organized for a tour visit. I don't know how I'm losing network. Hello. We had organized for a tour visit, and then I think the institution has organized. Let's not be in a hurry to leave. Tomorrow we'll try to make our program as fast as possible, so that at 10, at 2, we'll plant some trees. We leave an impression in the institution. Then we'll have a tour visit of some of the areas in this institution. It is going to be led, the principal for the institution will guide us where we are going to visit. Let's appreciate, let's benchmark with what we harvest and see if it is something that can be repeated back to our institutions. If you have any, we are also the institution in terms of quality training that we can be able to replicate in other institutions. We'll also be giving you a forum to share. What is this that you can learn from them? So kindly, if you have something unique that you want tomorrow, let me know so that we can give you some time that you share with us so that we can also learn for benchmarking purposes. Otherwise, thank you so much for being patient with us. I don't know if our County Commissioner Nakuru, the situation, how is the situation out there? Because I wouldn't want to release my guests. And
thank you so much. As of now, situation is under control. So you can
okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I know, but if you have any challenge for security reasons, do you like sharing your number? Yes. Can you share your number so that we continue assuring our guests that in case of anything, they can be able to be assisted?
Yes. My number is 07. I can start 0723 63 2025. 0723 63 2025. Hapo ni sawa? So ukiwa na shida, reach me.
Thank you so much for that. You are feeling very safe. Airtime, unaweza msalimia naye. Thank you so much. The first thing tomorrow, the first 15 minutes at 8:30, we'll have a recap, and I've been told we are having comment of Rift Valley National Poly and Wanjiru Fire TVC. Fire TVC. So you'll be on standby to lead us. You don't even need to come and start telling us what we learned. Just come here and start asking to say what they learned. It will be simple. So don't even bother revising. Now you just be in charge. They will be the ones responding to what we learned today. So thank you so much for agreeing. I want to invite Mr. Nusweti. The meetings that were the respective groups, you're free, you can have them here, then you deliberate and give me a name. Let's all be, we want to invite the county director. Trans-Nzoia is known for having very spiritual people. We usually have Jesus.
Thank you for this day. Thank you for the session that we have gone through. We want to thank you for guiding us to this moment, Father. As we come to the end of this session and move back to our homes, Father, be with us. As we meet tomorrow, we are asking you walk with us. For when we succeed, glory shall come back to you. Through Christ we pray. Amen. Okay, I'm told there is tea. Please don't walk away without having taken a cup of tea. And then director's vocational training, we can meet for a minute, please, before you go. Just assemble that very briefly. Thank you. Thank you.
Kuna chai, msiache chai. There is still, all of us will be served behind here as we leave.